I'm tracking 2 snowstorms in Maine the next 4 days. Here's the first one. Southwest New Hampshire, you got those snow bands that are coming in. These are going to push north and east throughout the rest of the midday hours. So through lunch in southern Maine, and then afternoon moving up towards central Maine and down east and northern Maine. Most of this comes in during the daytime. Some of it comes in tonight. You see these snow bands starting to enter the picture here over towards Keene. They'll come through tonight. So Manchester, you're going to start to see snow. Dover, you're next. The atmosphere has to moisten up. It's been very dry, very cold. So once the atmosphere is going to moisten, you'll see those snow bands start to come through. Slippery for the evening commute especially, and into the overnight heading up north into Maine. Here's the new snow map that I made for this storm. A general 3 to 6. Most locations around that 3 to 4 inch range heading south and west. A little bit less heading north and east. Eastport misses out on that 3 to 6, but Holt misses out 3 to 6. Presque Isle, but generally a 3 to 6 inch kind of broad stripe here for the state of Maine. Then the forecast as we get into the Sunday storm, I've updated this one. Now I took out that 9 to 12 I had yesterday with a storm track more to the south, but still a good chunk of snow for southern Maine here. And I'll talk more about that. I still left the 6 to 9 because of the snow ratio. So the snow ratio is higher with less moisture. I expect us to make that up. So that's the snow map for Sunday storm. Most of it is Saturday night into Sunday. Take a look at the maps now and show you what's going on in the forecast. So here's the forecast as we get into later today, into tonight here. So you see those snow bands start to break out. Southern Maine first. A real nice snow shield here that's coming through, right through central Maine. Let me switch this over to a darker color so we can see this better. And there it is. There's that snow shield coming in. It's all snow, middle of the day. This is around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You've got snow and a mix going on. Now moving into Boston, back towards the Catskills of New York. And that clears out as we get into the afternoon. So we're going to start to push through tonight. Watch what happens here. That snow pushes out. Now here's your mix going on in southern Maine. A little light freezing drizzle, not an ice storm. This is later on this evening time. And then it's all snow here for the rest of the state. That's just a very light to moderate snow. Nothing incredibly heavy with this system as it pushes north and east. And then into Friday morning, we clear out. There'll be some snow up in the county still going on here. Also the Boundary Plateau, the North Woods, the Allagash. This is for the overnight. So right before midnight tonight, there will still be snow going on, especially up in northern Maine. But then that's going to kind of teeter off, and there'll be some snow bands on the backside, but no more accumulation during the day on Friday. Then things clear out. We get a big area of high pressure to move in, this high. So that's going to set the stage for the weekend storm on Sunday. High pressure and cold air that's nosing in. So much like right now, we've got cold air locked in place. So we're going to see a similar setup for the Sunday storm. So I want to show you that one. This is for Saturday night. Notice you've got heavy snow. Northeast PA, North Jersey, New York City, some heavier snow bands back towards Binghamton, Elmira here, and also up to Albany, seeing that light snow. Not snowing in Maine yet, but it will. In the forecast, I'll put it into motion here for Sunday morning. Let me put it out a couple hours here. Sunday morning. Now notice here, the storm track is farther south than lately it's been. And 50 miles, 25 miles makes a huge difference with this storm, with any storm, but especially this one, because the moisture shield here gets cut off in northern Maine. So I still kept several inches here, especially in southern Maine, because of the higher snow ratios, colder air. But got to watch out here. Our friends in northern Maine, up in the county, the Katahdin region, could miss out on this storm entirely. Again, we'll have to wait and see. And then that pulls out of here. The storm for Tuesday is a New Jersey storm, not a Maine storm for the most part. But let's put things in motion Tuesday night into Wednesday here. So that just kind of grazes southern Maine. Here's the next one. This is on Thursday, February 13th. Now this storm, you've got low pressure inland, low pressure off the coast of Long Island. So we'll have to see what happens here. This is a Boston snowstorm to start, a good thump in southern Maine, and then I'll put the map into motion a little bit faster. get into Thursday night and Friday, that thing is out of here. But it does get into the Gulf of Maine just barely. So there's significant accumulation there with that track, and northern Maine would get some snow, which they desperately need. Then we go out into Sunday of the following weekend, another storm coming through, and this one is more of an inside track. And with an inside track well to our west here, you're going to get warm air coming up from the south. So this would be a snow to changeover situation for the upcoming weekend, next weekend, right? So that's a look at those storms. Now, if you look at the average snowfall forecast for these storms here, you're going to see 10, 20, 25 inches through February 14th here. The computer models are averaging out on where the snowfall will be. So if you go out that far, if you go all the way out to February 21st, you're seeing these totals in the 20s. Well, let me explain this. So if you get mixing, this computer model is factoring in, the sleet. So that would cut down snowfall totals. So these totals are likely not going to be as high as you see. You see in the mid-20s. However, if you get on all snow solution, then you're getting closer to these averages here. This is not a straight one-time forecast for a couple weeks. This is an average of a lot of the computer modeling. But the theme here really is you're going to get snow. It's not that you're going to get zero. If you're averaging in 20 inches, you're going to get snow. Exactly 20 inches, I'm not sold on yet. Now, put this map into motion. I want to show you the storm tracks for today's storm, okay, which is very important. So you've got your low over here, eastern Canada, and a little low in the Gulf of Maine. This will close off some of that cold air to keep it as a mostly snow event for today's storm, okay? So that's one storm done. Now let's do the next one. Let's get into the weekend storm. It's the Sunday storm. Now this one, if you remember yesterday when I showed this map, yesterday the cluster was really kind of up here. Now the cluster has gotten farther south, right? So with just 50 miles with this cluster going south, you're going to get less moisture, but we could have higher ratios. So if you get up around 17-1 for a ratio, then even with less moisture, you're going to get a good amount of snow. It's probably in the 6+ inch range. That's why I've left that 6 to 9 for southern Maine. So that storm gets out of here. And then next week, here's a weak wave. This is the Tuesday into Wednesday kind of weak wave passing to our south here. So there's not a lot of moisture to work with there. Not a very strong storm. So that passes through. And then the storm after that, let's stop it right here. Okay, here's the storm coming through for Thursday of next week, right before Valentine's Day. And you've got a cluster of lows close to the Gulf of Maine and enough moisture there for a snowstorm. So we'll see about that one. This is right before Valentine's Day. Put the map into motion, and then there's an opportunity after that. So this is the following weekend storm. I told you about this. And obviously going out, 8, 9, 10 days, you're going to have a very wide range of where the storm's going to be. But there's substantial amount of signal here for a storm. There's a strong storm signal. Whether or not that low is off the coast or it's inland will decide who's getting what as far as precipitation, but there's definitely a signal there for a storm. So we'll take a look now at the temperatures and show you that a bit of a roller coaster ride. So what you're seeing here, let me push this a little bit farther. Let me move this a little bit so you can see Maine. Okay, and I can get out of the way just a little bit. There you go. So what you're seeing here is a pretty classic La Nina. You've got cold air to the north and west. Here's your cold air, upper Midwest. And then you've got your warm air in the southeast. So a pretty classic look at a La Nina there. And temperatures here are going to go up and down. So we're going to cool down, we'll warm up. And notice here, we are right on this boundary line of where the moisture is to the south. Color just changed here. Let me fix that. Where the moisture is to the south, okay? And with that moisture being to the south, what you have is warm, moist air, and you've got cold and dry air up to the north here. So, obviously, with that situation, you're not going to have likely a big-time storm popping up here. You don't have a storm cutting off and kind of making its own energy. You've got just these waves of moisture, a little kind of mini storms that are, lows that are riding along this baroclinic zone, the dividing line between the warm, moist air south and the cold, dry air north. So I don't expect blockbuster storms from this pattern. We would need something to really cut off and get into the East Coast and really kind of bomb out and really deepen in pressure. I don't see that right now. I think it's going to be more of the same. Just these storms that are passing along on this kind of boundary line. We're on the front lines of the warm and moist air and then the cold and dry air. So they're not all going to be completely just 100% snow events. And also, I don't see them being all rain events either. So here's the forecast here on nappycast.com. Video, graphics I make by hand every day. Snow map for Sunday, snow map for today. It's all there, plus a blog post. I go into detail about everything I'm talking about here. So you can go ahead and look at the storm signals and kind of take you out for the next 10 days and have a conversation about where the trends are. Right now, Sunday is still trending to be several inches, but once again, more of a southern Maine trend of a storm than it is for a northern Maine trend here. So I've kept the 6 to 9 there stripe for southern Maine. Thank you so much for watching. Nappycast.com, Jason Nappy Weather. Have a great rest of your day.